All right, now that we've got a full 6 to 7 weeks in the books for the 2024 season, I think we can run through some buy low, sell high candidates, looking at their actual numbers and comparing them to their expected statistics. Let's see who we've got for you here. May 21st. All right, the top guy that comes up as a sell high candidate is Isaac Paredes of Tampa Bay. Easily the biggest gap down of any player in the league so far this season. This guy's a little bit interesting. I feel like he's done this in the past. This normalizes as the season goes on. This guy's getting regular at-bats, obviously, for Tampa, and he's producing. But how long does it continue? I think he's in for some regression. If you can get something right now for Paredes, I don't think he's going to hit 303 all year. That expected batting average is just 234. He's slugging 509, expected 380, so he's well above every expected statistic at this point in the season. Connor Joe's second on the list. Connor Joe's typically a guy who only hits against left-handed pitching. This year he's gotten more at-bats against righties just because the Pirates lineup is so bad. But as you can see, his 160 plate appearances put him well back of normal everyday players who are closer to the 200 range. Looking a little closer at Joe, probably just slightly below average hitter. Pretty good strikeout rate. This is an average hitter who's off to a great start. Ezequiel Tovar signed a big contract in the offseason, and this has got to be a little troubling for the Rockies. His 328 WOBA is pretty decent, at least above league average, but far below league average with the ex-WOBA, meaning he's probably going to decline as the season goes on here. He was just below league average hitting last year in a full season. Players do improve, but generally it takes a good organization to improve players as their careers go on. This guy's only 22, but unfortunately for him, he plays for the Rockies. The Rockies have no idea what they're doing. Be very careful with Tovar. That strikeout rate is way too high. He is not walking enough. Free swinger who's not making great contact. Does get to play his home games in Coors Field, so he does have that going for him. And he is 22, so he could improve from here. Definitely a sell high, though, at this point. Bryce Terang. Now, Bryce Terang was getting a lot of time with the Brewers early in the season. He was really producing. He's been stealing a lot of bases. He's among the league leaders in stolen bases, so that makes him valuable, even if he is a league average bat, which I think, at best, he's a league average bat. This year so far, he's been really good, 355. A lot of red on this StatCast page, but most of it has to do with the fact that he makes a lot of contact. Not necessarily great contact usually, but he's making contact. He doesn't strike out a lot. He is taking some walks, but he's definitely outperforming expectations with the batted ball. Maybe his elite speed contributes to him being able to beat out plays that other people can't, and then he gets on base and he can steal bases. So I think you can count on this guy for more steals. I think he's going to play quite a bit as the season rolls on. I just don't think the level of production you've seen from him so far is going to keep up. But I know the Brewers like him. And as long as he's producing, he's going to be in the lineup and stealing bases for you. Dalton Varsho we've talked about before. Slightly above league average right now, but that expected is well below league average. You can see as the season's gone on, he's kind of gotten a little lower. 193 expected batting average, bottom 3% of the league. Strikeout rate, walk rates both look pretty average, but he just doesn't make enough solid contact. And as you can see from previous seasons, he's never really been more than just around a league average bat. So if you can get anything for him right now, I think he might be worth a deal. Taking a look at the other side, here are some buy low candidates. Brandon Nimmo really sticks out on this list, so he's been pretty decent actually to start the season at 348. But that 420 xWOBA is really what sticks out to me. Huge gap up. This was a guy who was starting to hit a little bit, then had an intercostal injury, so I believe that's like an oblique injury. We thought he was going to go on the IL and miss some time. He sat out like 2 days, and then on the third day came back, hit a pinch hit, walk-off homer, started the next 4 games before it was revealed that he was dealing with an illness, and then he sat out a couple games, and now I think he's kind of getting back in the swing of things again, so he's been slowed down a little bit by that injury and the illness. But these numbers, there's really no way to get around these numbers. It's a 20% K rate, almost a 15% walk rate. The StatCast page is insane. Hitting the ball really hard. Huge barrel rate so far this year. This is a guy you really probably want to pick up. He's 31 years old, so a little older than I like, but the batted ball metrics all look spectacular. We're going to skip over Benintendi. Yes, he's sort of a regular player, just not good enough. With a 291 xWOBA, we're still not interested. Christopher Morel, definitely want to highlight him. 314 xWOBA puts him right around league average. but he's had some terrible luck. So 384 for the expected. We dig a little more into his profile. You see a lot of red here. He does have 4 steals, so he's running a little bit. Those exit velocity numbers are excellent. The strikeout rate, he's cut down from 31 down to about 21 this year, so he's made some big improvements. 25 years old, walk rate up. I mean, everything looks great with this guy. I would be very interested in him at this point. I've had a lot of questions about Corey Seager. Is something wrong with Corey Seager? Well, as you can see, he's been a pretty league average bat for the first part of 2024, but his expected numbers in that 380 range, so big gap up for him. Obviously, Seager's one of the best players in the league. He's had ex-WOBAs north of 400 a couple times out of the last 4 years. I think he's going to be just fine. Nothing seems wrong here. He's actually walking a little more than normal, but those elite exit velocities are still there. His barrel rate's great. I think he's going to be just fine. Francisco Lindor, we've been waiting on a little bit. His numbers have been terrible to start the season. Expected to get a little bit better than league average. I think he's going to be fine. Will regress north for you. His K rate's actually down this year. I think he gets back on track. You can expect a better second half from Lindor. Xander Bogaerts left yesterday's game with an injury. I'm a little concerned about him. Even if he had better batted ball luck, he's still been a league average bat so far, and this is way down from where he's been in previous spots in his career. In Boston, this guy was a great hitter. It looks like he's fallen off as he's aging, and this year has probably been his worst year to date. And last year and the year before, he was a little lucky. This year, he's been unlucky. I wouldn't be actively chasing him. The White Sox are giving Andrew Vaughn every opportunity as he was a high first-round pick, but so far he hasn't been able to take advantage. Just a 250 WOBA, only 303 expected. Even if he was getting the normal batted ball luck, he's still not good. White Sox may just have to come to terms with the fact that this guy is basically a league average or slightly below league average bat, which is unfortunate because when you're picked number 3 overall, you expect more. Talked up George Springer a little bit. This guy's always been elite exit velocities his whole career. He's 34 now. He hasn't hit one over 110 yet this year. The numbers are all kind of down across the board, but he's still hitting leadoff almost every day. I think he's better than this 262. He may not crawl up into the 340, 330 range that he was the last couple seasons, but I think he's at least a league average bat and he's getting regular playing time. Somebody to consider. I think he's getting really cheap. All right, one last one and I'll get out of here for today. Matt Olson in Atlanta has been off to kind of a slow start. He did a homer yesterday as part of that doubleheader. The WOBA difference is almost 50 points, so he should get better as the season goes on. That StatCast page still really red with the barrels and the exit velocities and everything. You can see from his numbers over the years, 118, 116, averages in the 93, 94, 93. This guy's a barrel rate king. I think he gets back to a pretty productive level here this year at some point. Strikeout rate is up a little bit. Walk rate's down. He's probably just pressing a little bit. I think Matt Olson's going to be just fine at his age 30 season. All right, well, thanks for checking in. As always, if you want to join my Patreon, you can support me there. Patreon comes with full projections to use for your gallery and also a gallery organizational tool. Help you find your best plays for each game week. Link in the show notes. Thanks for watching. We'll see you later.